expect severe disruption. We are running significantly reduced timetables throughout the course of a week, both on strike days and on non-strike days. On strike days, we're looking to operate something like 30% of our usual daily timetabled service. And on non-strike days, unfortunately, that's still as little as 50% of our usual timetabled services. So clearly, much fewer trains operating. So only travel if necessary. If you need to take a train, check your journey beforehand where we are still able to operate services. But bear in mind that with that reduction in the service level we're able to provide, that trains where they will operate are likely to be much, much busier than they would do before.
Is there much contingency planning you've been able to do for this?
Well, we've been working hard formulating a new timetable. Train timetabling is an incredibly complex affair. We would usually operate, give or take, 1,600 train services a day, and those have to marry in with other operators across the network we serve, as well as the freight industry. So our train planning team have been essentially putting a new timetable together for this week, and not only a new timetable, but essentially a timetable for strike days and a timetable for non-strike days, working out where we will have staff, where we can provide staff, and obviously working with our colleagues at Network Rail. They're the people who operate the railway infrastructure, the tracks, the signalling systems, and seeing where they will have staff to ensure that we continue to operate trains as best as we're able to.
What's the official GWR position on the strikes?
Well, the rail industry across the board has taken somewhere in a region of £16 billion of subsidy during the pandemic. That's a massive figure. It probably doesn't mean a great deal to you and I because it's so large, but that's about £600 for every household in the country. That is not sustainable. And it's not fair to ask taxpayers to continue subsidising rail at that level. It's unfair to other vital services that need public support, like the NHS. Clearly there is a cost of living rise. We have not said no to a pay deal, but what we need to do is to find a deal where we can all agree upon, and one that is affordable. But no one wins in the event of a strike. Staff actually lose pay, and the industry loses vital revenue. That makes it even harder to afford a fair pay deal. And worst of all, for passengers and businesses, clearly they face significant disruption. So we would urge the RMT to call off the strikes and to continue to work with us to ensure a fair pay deal while securing the long-term future that the railways need.
So half of trains at Glastonbury are Castle Carry, obviously, are unlikely to be running. That's going to have quite a big impact on people heading to Glastonbury, because a lot of people do use the train service, and it's an excellent service in normal years, isn't it?
Well, we're somewhat fortunate that where the network operates, the signalling infrastructure and signal staff are in place to enable us to continue to operate trains in key parts of the network. And fortunately, that includes Castle Carey. So we've been able to provide the services, the planned services to cater for demand to Castle Carey for the Glastonbury Festival that we would have done normally throughout the course of a week. Those services will continue to operate, and we aim to carry the same number of people as we usually would do on trains. Those people who have booked themselves onto a service from London to Castle Carey should be able to take that train service. Clearly, some other parts of our network are more adversely affected. So, for example, on strike days, we're not able to operate trains in Cornwall. So those customers travelling from Cornwall towards Castle Cary will need to very carefully consider where the nearest train station is to them to make that journey onwards to Castle Cary. So that, for example, might mean taking local buses towards Plymouth and then joining the network from Plymouth, where we're able to operate trains. But the vast majority of people going to Glastonbury on our network are travelling from London, and we're pleased to be able to maintain those services, enabling those people to travel.
For passengers, it's very mixed, isn't it? I mean, what's your advice to people?
Throughout the course of a week, we're running a significantly reduced timetable. Expect severe disruption. Only travel if necessary, and if you do need to travel, check your journey beforehand. There will be a much earlier shutdown in the evenings on strike days. So don't make the assumption that where you would usually be able to go to work and get your train home at 5:30, that train will still be operating. Plan ahead and make sure if you do need to travel that you've checked your journey times before leaving home.